Okay, great. Right. Thank you very much, Rahul Chinmaya, for the introduction and inviting me to this group. So thank you all for making it to this session as well. I know it's a weekend; all of you are stuck at home. Hopefully, you will get some learning out of this today if you're new to Marketing Cloud. See, one of the things with Marketing Cloud, I know it's like of late it's been of very high demand, and it's a lot of people are talking about it. So it's not easy for us to cover everything about Marketing Cloud in 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so it's very difficult. But at least if you're new to it, I'll try to give you a very brief overview, so at least you know a little bit about it. And then I'll also give you references to multiple videos where you can find that, and then how to start learning about it. Okay, so towards the end, I'll walk you through that. Okay, so that's primarily what I'll have. And then do post your queries in the chat. We will take a look at it towards the end of the session. So Rahul, if you can help me towards you or Chinmay can help me towards the end, that will be great.
Sure. We'll
Sure.
take care of that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so with that, let me go ahead. So I usually ask this, and I've taken this session for a multiple user group. So pardon me if you have already attended my session before, so it might be like a repeat. But if you're new to it, I always ask people with few basic questions. Okay, the first one that I usually ask is, what is the difference between sales and marketing? You probably have heard of both of these terms. You can put it in chat, whatever comes to your mind. Just want to see a gauge, what is your understanding of the two as well. Do you think it's the same? It's different? If so, what is the difference? I like to keep it interacting, so you can put it in chat. I'm actually looking at chat.
Yeah, even I was
Okay.
looking.
Okay. Marketing helps to get the prospects which can get converted into sales later. Great point, Akshay. Wonderful. Marketing is introducing new products and sales is selling. Okay, good. Any other viewpoints? Anybody feels marketing and sales is the same? They are aligned. Very good. Sales is selling the product. Marketing is promoting. Marketing is promoting your brand. Yes. Customized sales is core sales. Customized versus configuration. Okay. Promoting a product. Sales is byproduct of successful marketing. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. Great. I think many of you have the right opinion about it as well, right? Okay. Now let me ask you a slightly different question to this. Which one do you think is more important for an organization, sales or marketing? Both of them. Some people say marketing. Both. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I've had different answers so, across the group. So it's good to know there's different perspectives. Yeah, but ideally it's I would always go with both. But then let me give you an idea of a little bit about sales and marketing as well. So modern marketing, like most of you rightly said, it's about identifying your customers, right? Like who your actual customers should be, based on various users, that and based on data that you gather, creating brand awareness about your products. Most of you told that answer, right? Creating, promoting your brand awareness about your products or services, creating attractive content for your customers. And then one of the main things that we focus on, is to engage your customers through various channels. See, the reason I say that is modern marketing. Long time back, there was only one or two ways that you can actually market stuff, right? But today there are lots of channels available. If you not only just offline marketing like TV ads or something like that, that's not the only one. You have mobile, you have email, social channels, so many ways that you can actually market to people, right? So that's why we and also in a personalized manner. Okay, so personalization primarily means long time back, you used to see ads, it was never personalized to you. But today you can actually get ads or marketing to you, specific to your your details. So if it's if you are somebody who is interested in a specific sports, okay, you can get specific ads related to that. If the that particular brand, let's say Adidas, you have bought from Adidas, right? So they might actually send you ads specifically based on that next time when they have a particular sales on based on some interest that you have expressed. So that is what personalization means, right? And marketing, it's primarily the goal is to get more and more people to choose your brand over their competitors, right? So and then once you have qualified the leads, that's when sales will come in and they'll try to close the opportunity. And then sales also plays a very crucial role in building the trust and rapport with the customers, like for after sales support and all that, right? And like many of you said, the answer with both, it's like, sales and marketing have to work hand in hand and not as competing teams. Okay. So with that, I'll go to the next topic that I want to ask you guys as well. This also you've heard as well, right? B2B versus B2C. Can you guys tell me what's the difference between the two? Not the full form. Okay, you probably will give me the full form. I know that, but yeah, let me see at least if you know the difference between the two in terms of at least in full form. Marketing to the corporates. Okay, great. Targeting individual and company. Okay. Any other answers? B2C is to individuals. Okay, good. Okay, so many of you, like you guys rightly said, so B2B is like, business to business, and B2C is business to consumer, right? So it is, it's primarily like, it's two different ways in how you actually do the business. Okay. So B2B, like, if when you're actually selling to large organizations, the way that you actually market is slightly different. Like, they have something called lead nurturing and management. And why we do that is because, the deal size that we actually look at is pretty large. Okay. So I'll give you a very good example. Like, so take a company like, Dell or HP or Apple, like, they actually sell, servers or hardware, like, that can be used by other, big corporates. Okay. So they will actually, like, keep track of, like, their or try to market their hardware stuff, like, either servers or whatever it is. They will actually try to market that, like, and then once they see that, a particular big customer has come to them, like, with a particular lead, they will have, say, marketing people, like, who will actually try to, like, look at that and then move that into a little bit of lead nurturing, and then say, okay, yeah, now I think we have expressed enough interest for them to, like, move into a sales qualified lead, etc. Right. So the way you actually market in terms of, like, for B2B is different from B2C. B2C is for end customers, like, so for you and me, like, if we want to buy something, like, for instance, there's an ad, like, that you get an email or an SMS for a special on like, a sandwich or a burger or pizza, something that you buy, right? Immediately you will get, like, okay, this weekend 20% off on like, Domino's pizza. Okay, whatever that comes in, right? Or Pizza Hut has, like, something that they send to you. They will never do lead nurturing for that. There is no point to that. It's just one, and we are just the one sole decision maker in that. We will immediately be saying, yeah, I would like to try it out, or I don't want to try it out, right? But in terms of B2B, it's like, there is a decision making process that needs to go in, because the deal size is high, the amount of money that you will have to invest is high. So, it's a little more longer time it goes into it, right? And there are multiple people who actually make that decision. So you need to understand the difference between these two, right? So do you guys know, like, that Salesforce has products for each of these? Like, do you know which is the B2B product that Salesforce sells and which is the B2C one? Okay, Pardot. And Pardot is which one, B2B or B2C? Okay, I guess you guys said it correctly. Okay, so Pardot is for B2B, and Marketing Cloud is like, for B2C. And this is the one that we are actually going to talk about today as well. Okay. So Pardot actually, like, resides on Salesforce. It's actually coming as a managed package, but Marketing Cloud is not. Marketing Cloud is a former, it was called ExactTarget. It's a totally different platform. So if you have not seen it, I'll show that to you in a few minutes from now. But it's also web based. You can go in and you can actually take a look at it, like, online, just like how you do to Salesforce. You can log in, you can see all that, but it's not at all based on Salesforce. So if you think, like, okay, it's a package that you can install on Salesforce, it will look like Salesforce. No. Okay, when you see that the UI in a few minutes from now, you will understand that. Okay. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, which is the overview of Marketing Cloud. Okay, so Marketing Cloud primarily consists of multiple products. Okay, so I'll show that shortly, and they're primarily known as studios or builders. Okay, so the easiest way to remember what studios and builders are, studios are mostly channel related. Okay, and what do you mean by channels? Channels is nothing but the different mediums on how you interact with your end customer, right? So it could be email, it could be web, could be mobile, it could be social, advertising, etc. So these are the different ways that you can engage with your end consumer, right? And then builders are actually, like, features that is provided, like, by the platform, that you can use across the channels. Like there is something called contact builder, there is content builder, analytics builder, journey builder, etc. Okay. Now Automation Studio is the only one that is like slightly an exception case to this. Even though it says studio, it is not for a particular channel. It is again across all the different channels you can use. It's used for automation behind the scenes, like in the platform. If you want to do some level of automation, which we will look at it later, that's what it's used for. Okay. So let me show you how Marketing Cloud actually looks like. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? I hope you can see the dashboard. So
Yes.
when you log into Marketing Cloud, this is how it'll actually look like. This is the main dashboard, and it'll show you all the different apps that you have access to. Okay, it'll show you different business units that you have. Business units is nothing but you can have different orgs within your Marketing Cloud account. Okay, so you can have it as a hierarchical org, or you can have multiple. It's basically the same instance if you want to have it across multiple different brands or geographies. Like, so for instance, let's say I want one Marketing Cloud account specifically for my team in Malaysia and one for India. I can have two different business units for that, right? So those kind of things you can actually do, and then you will have the admin where you can go set up things and all that. So as you can see, this is not like your typical Salesforce UI. It's very, very different. Okay. Okay. So going back to our presentation here, so we'll first look at what is the data model. Okay. So now you most of you are probably familiar with Salesforce, right? So how do you store data in Salesforce? What is the primary way in which that in from the UI side, how do you actually create and store data? Yes, object. Okay. Yeah, objects, fields. Yeah, so most of you got that correct. So when you go into Salesforce, it is object based. Everything is like the base thing is objects, right? So when you come into Marketing Cloud, okay, so everything in Marketing Cloud is primarily related around contacts or your customer. Okay, so you can have profile, you can have demographic, preferences, behavioral transactions. So a lot of different types of data about that particular customer, you can store that in Marketing Cloud. Okay, because why do we need it in terms of contact? The reason is because the end of the day, it is to a particular contact. Like I said, B2C, right? It is your end consumer. That is a contact that you're trying to reach out to our market to. Okay, through different channels, like the ones that we saw, like email, mobile, web, social, etc. Right? So you primarily need to have contact, which is your customer, and its related information. That is what you're trying to do, right? And then how do you store that in Marketing Cloud? Okay, we have primarily we have something similar to our SQL tables. Many of you are probably familiar with SQL. I'm hoping so, MySQL and SQL Server, Oracle, RDBMS, right? So similar to that, you can have SQL data extensions. It's called data extensions in Marketing Cloud. It's nothing but a type of a SQL table. Okay, and I'll show that to you in a minute. Okay, and then this can be used across all the different channels and the studios and builders that we saw earlier. Like wherever possible, wherever you want to store the data, you can use data extensions. Okay, now there is also something called subscriber lists, or lists for short. Okay, this was actually initially when it was in Exact Target days, when email, it was started with email marketing. The primary data structure at that particular time was subscriber list. Okay, and it is nothing but where you store information about a particular contact or subscriber. Okay, and the difference between the term subscriber and a contact, just for you guys to know, any contact that you are trying to send an email to, or you send an email to, is called a subscriber. Okay, and that is why in if you go into email, or if you ever look at if you're planning to study about Email Studio, you will come across this term called subscriber, and then you will get confused. Okay, why are we calling contact a subscriber, etc. Okay, so primarily within Marketing Cloud, every end consumer is called a contact. Okay, but the moment a contact is sent an email, we call them as a subscriber, and then we put them into a list called subscriber list. Okay, so it's a separate type of data structure that you can have only within Email Studio, where you can actually keep track of subscribers, and it has a specific type of properties. Like it has only specific fields that you can create, and every list that you create will have the same set of fields, etc. Whereas data extensions are very different. They are very dynamic. You can create whatever type of fields you want. So one data extension can be totally different from another data extension. One can contain your customer information, another can contain the particular customer's order information, another one can contain the product information that the customer ordered, etc. Right? So it can have different, but subscriber list is not like that. Subscriber list is primarily all about specific to information about a subscriber. So any list that you create, it will always have the same data structure. That is what you will see. Okay, so let me show you the subscriber list here. Sorry, the data extension here. So this is a data extension that I actually created. So you can see here, I can create different types of fields. Same like how you, when you create a SQL schema, you will see I've created customer ID, first name, last name. So these are all text, and there's an email ID. Then date of birth is a date field, personal email, etc. Right? And then when you go into records, you will see these are all just like how you see SQL tables, so it's very similar to that. It is just storing the data how you want it. You can import, export, you can actually update, delete, all that. Okay, so that is data extensions. Okay, so let me go back to my presentation here. Now we'll look at common marketing channels that we have. And like I said, there are multiple channels, but at least we'll look at 3 or 4 of the important ones that you may come across. Okay, so email is one of the most widely used forms of marketing. Okay, and probably many of you have received a lot of marketing emails. If you have Gmail accounts, you can go and check your spam folder. You can even check some of your in your direct inbox folders also. You will see a lot of marketing emails every day, right? And so Email Studio is the place where you can actually go to do email marketing. Okay, and you can configure, test, send out emails to your contacts, and there are different types of emails that you can send. Okay, one is called commercial and one is called transactional. Now commercial is more for marketing purposes, where you will say, okay, we have a promotion 20% off, 30%. It's primarily for marketing purposes to you, in commercial in nature. Okay, transactional, on the other hand, it is not for marketing purposes. It is more to inform you about a transaction, that something has taken place. It's more informational, right? Such as let's say you placed an order, so you get an order confirmation email, right? Or you updated your profile, or you signed up or registered at the site, right? Or you did a password reset. So all these, when the emails, if you're generating it through Marketing Cloud, then the nature of that particular type of email is transactional. Whereas if it is primarily you're looking at from a marketing perspective, you're trying to sell something, you're getting the people to buy something, then it's commercial in nature. Okay, and when you send out commercial emails, you have to adhere to certain laws. Okay, and it is not just that you can send out emails to anybody anywhere. Okay, so there is always ISPs, and every country has governing laws in terms of security, privacy, and all that, right? So the one that primarily Salesforce actually recommends to go through is the CAN-SPAM law, because it is based out of US. You have to adhere to that. But then if you're marketing to customers in other countries, especially Europe, you have to look at GDPR. Every country has its own laws, so you have to be very, very, and even within US itself, every state has different laws as well, right? So you have to be very careful. You have to align to. You have to first read up on if you ever work in email marketing, you have to always look at are there any specific laws in terms of, okay, how many we should what we need to align to, etc. Right? One of the things you can probably even check today, if you go back to some of the emails that you get, if it is not marked as spam, it came into your proper folder and is not tagged, so that means it has been the spam filters actually said it is okay to be delivered to your inbox. They ideally will have good language. They will have a proper text, the subject line and all that, that doesn't say spam. And then towards the bottom, you will probably see an unsubscribe option, meaning it will give you the option to say, okay, I don't want to receive any more email marketing from this company or brand, right? It will give you the physical address. So these are some of the things that that is mandated by CAN-SPAM law, that you need to have ensure that people are able to unsubscribe in case they don't want to receive your emails, etc. You cannot simply spam people with email. If you do that, and if somebody complains, they will actually blacklist you. Then you will not be able to send it out anymore. There is ISPs who do that. Okay, so let me show you how a couple of things on Email Studio. So remember I was telling you earlier about subscribers, right? So this is the all subscribers list. So anytime you send an email to any customer or contact within email, within Email Studio in Marketing Cloud, they will get added here. okay, and then with their corresponding status, if they are active or they are unsubscribed, etc. Okay, so all the contacts who gets emails sent are called subscribers, and then you can find them here, right? And then in email studio, there are a lot of things in emails. Because of time limitation, I cannot go through everything, but I'm just giving you an overview of what few couple of things that we can do, right? So you should be able to go and create email and test out email and then send it out, right? So this is how if I've created an email and I want to look at previewing and testing it, right? So I have an email template here that I've actually created. Okay, and then you can see this is customized by dear that first name. Okay, so if I go, and this is a data extension, I'm saying okay, I want to send it to the data extension that I showed earlier. I want to send it to all the people in that data extension. So you will see the first record in that data extension, the first name is Lian, last name is Krishniak, and you will see all their details, right? And then when I cycle through the next email, automatically you will see the name changing, right? So as I keep changing each record, the email will actually change. It will actually keep on changing and show you the preview of personalized for this particular the record that I'm actually looking at. Okay, so it is quite useful and flexible that that you can actually preview and see how the email behaves before you actually can send it out. This is a very simple example of using the first name, but sometimes there are more complex things that you can have using code. You can actually go ahead and customize, and you can show dynamic images and all that, if you want to depending on who's on some fields values that you have in the data extension. For instance, let's say for female customers you want to show a different ad picture. Okay, male customers you want to show different one as well. For kids it might be different, right? So if you can even show dynamic content based on those kind of properties as well. Okay. Okay, so moving on to the next channel, which is mobile. Depending on countries, certain countries along with email, mobile is also important, right? I've seen in few countries in APAC, mobile is pretty good, but in certain countries, mobile is not that effective in terms of marketing. Okay, but then Marketing Cloud gives you the option, so the three various options that it gives you is Mobile Connect, Mobile Push, and Group Connect. Okay, so Mobile Connect is primarily for SMS. Okay, so you can actually create and you can send SMS communications with your customer, and for this you have to register something called short or long codes for the respective country or the region, and then configure the messages. So sometimes when you get SMS messages on your phone, you'll probably see a 5-digit number, right? Or sometimes it could be the long full 10-digit number, or whatever your area code number is, that one is, right? So it depends on which one they actually register for. You will be able to use that. So short and long codes are both available, and there is specific pricing available, and it's a paid feature. You have to go and specifically request that and buy that. You can have multiple short codes, long codes, depending on what type of communications you want to and brand that you want to use it for. Okay, and then you can send out messages. You can actually when if people are trying to send you SMS, reply to you, you can send auto response. You can even mark it out and try to get opt-in into mobile and for email, etc. Okay. Mobile push, on the other hand, is for applications. So all of you have smartphone, right? So you probably have applications that you have downloaded, installed, right? So sometimes you have push notifications you have seen, enable push notifications. So this is primarily that. So if you want to send a push notification to a mobile app, then you can use mobile push. Okay, and then they have an extra option to if the application supports inbox, it also supports sending messages to the inbox of that. Not all apps will support that, but if your app supports, that's also possible. Okay, now one cool feature that you can get along with mobile push is something called geofencing and beacon services. Okay, it's nothing but you probably might have guessed, so it's location based. So if there is actually you have enabled Bluetooth on the phone along with that app, and if geofencing and beacons are available. So if geofencing primarily is if you are within a particular location area, within one maybe around 500 meters or 1 kilometer, whatever that setting that they have given. So suddenly it picks up, the application server picks it up, and they know they can send you automatically some automated messages to your application saying that, hey, we notice that you are in the area. If you come into our store right now, we have a special offer. Here is the voucher code you can use, etc. Something like that, to market it, right? The beacon services is something where, let's say you are within a particular store and it's a large store. They have specific sensors that they can keep, and then they can start beaming it out to your phone automatically, depending on which area of the store you are in. So if it's a very large supermarket or store, let's say you are standing in the the electronics counter, right? Automatically the beacon there will actually they'll automatically pick it up and say like, hey, he is interested in electronics, so let's send him, hey, what are the latest marketing offers that we have for our electronic gadgets, right? So automatically you will probably might get that. So that is beacon services. So all these are possible through mobile push. Not that many of them use it. The opportunity is there, if companies want to use that. Okay. Group Connect is the third option. It's primarily used for chat communication. So, and it's mainly for the Asian market that we have seen. There is something called Line Messenger, and then Facebook Messenger is supported through API, not directly through the UI as such. WhatsApp is new, but is not under Group Connect right now. So, there's a separate managed sorry, not managed, but a package that you have to install, and you have to work with that to get WhatsApp also. All paid features as well. Okay. So let me show you at least how the interface looks like for mobile. So unfortunately, because it's a paid feature, I cannot show you how the message looks like, because you need the actual short code, long code to create it. So it gives you these options, you can send out outbound. Like I said, you can go create a message. You can select the audience that you want to send it to, and then you can set rules and all that. And then text responses, like I said, if you get a specific response, you want the auto response to go out. Opt-in, opt-in is the most important thing. Like I said, you cannot simply market to people, right? Even for email, or even for SMS, ideally, people should be saying, okay, I wish to receive marketing communications from you. And you probably might have seen that a lot, when you guys sign up on websites. Sometimes when when you, even for Salesforce, when you try to register for events, or you want to download a white paper, you will always see a checkbox at the bottom, right, saying okay, it's an optional checkbox where you have to say I wish to receive event notifications or communications, marketing communications, etc. So this is what that means. If you check that, automatically it says I'm opting in to receive communication. If you don't opt in, then you will not be sent that. Okay, so that is again the legal part of it, right? Like I said, we are not supposed to send marketing messages to people unless they opt in, right? So they can actually send you an initial mobile message saying do you wish to opt into our marketing communications, either to our mobile, or if you want people to opt into email marketing also, you can send an SMS message asking them to do that. Okay. And mobile push is, like I said, is the other interface where you can, like I said, you can still send an outbound push message notification. You can send it to the inbox. And this is what I was saying, when somebody enters the location boundary that you have set for geofencing, or when they exit as well. So when somebody is about to leave your area, you can send them a marketing message to them, SMS. And then beacon services, specifically for within a store, if you have beacons set up, you can use that as well. Okay. These are pretty advanced, little advanced, so you need to have people who can actually work with the SDK, and who can actually develop that along with your specific mobile app as well. So you probably need to take the help of iOS and Android developers for that. Okay. Okay, so the third one that we have in channels that we can talk today is about Web Studio. So definitely a lot of you are actually familiar with using web-based web pages as well, right? So and there is something called landing pages within Marketing Cloud. It's under Web Studio. So there is it comes under the thing the title called Cloud Pages. So under Cloud Pages, you will see this. There's something called landing pages which you can choose, and then you can actually create multiple different types of web pages, and then you can drag and drop content, and then you can publish that out. So one particular use case that you can think about is, let's say you want users to be redirected to a web page. Like once they receive an email, you cannot keep it dynamic, or you cannot show a lot of content on there where you want people to enter some data and all that, right? So in olden days, I'm saying olden days because now there is interactive email, but then earlier, and even now also, still people use that because some clients don't support interactive email. Let's say you want you send email to people, and you want them to be redirected to a web page where they can go and enter their preferences, or enter maybe register for an event, submit some data, etc. For that particular case, you can actually give send out an email, and then you can have a link in that saying click here to enter your details, etc. And then automatically they will be redirected to that landing page that you have created in Marketing Cloud. And then when the user actually goes there, they actually enter all the details and click submit. It will now get processed and then saved in your Marketing Cloud data extension, and then you can use that for further processing and marketing and all that. Okay. So let me show you how that looks like. So under cloud pages. Okay, so this is a landing page that I just simply put together. You can actually drag and drop content, different HTML block or image block, free form buttons, anything you can want, you can actually put that here. And if I want to edit, it actually shows you the code. You can actually go change the HTML code, etc. Right? So if I go back, I can just drag and drop exactly. And then once I publish it, it actually gives you the link. So in the email, I will actually put that particular link only. So that this is how the actual web page looks like, right? So from the email, when the customer actually clicks on that particular link to this, you can actually go and the user will be redirected to here, and he can see, he can give his details, and then say, okay, I want to get specific updates on newsletter events, etc. Now sales, the marketing cloud already has an inbuilt preference center page and all that. This is just an example, and that I'm showing you that you can even go ahead and customize that, or if you want them to send to a different type of landing page, you can do that as well. So this is just an example. Okay, so moving back to the final channel that I want to show you is like Social Studio. Okay, so Social Studio was formerly called Radian 6. Now it is part of Marketing Cloud, and then you can use this to monitor your social accounts like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, etc. Right, and you can have users in your specific in your organization assigned to specific workspaces or brands. They can monitor social posts. They can actually create and schedule posts to be published on specific days to which all accounts you want, so let's say you want post to go out on Twitter every day of this week because of some promotion, right? So you can have that schedule already, and then you can have people actually looking at it and then engaging with it to see how that people are actually responding to your brand, etc. And then you can respond to them as well. You can analyze the data, once you see that, okay, what is the sentiment analysis, what are people talking about, what is the most talked about keywords about your brand, etc. Right? So let me log in here. It probably logs out quickly, so let me show you this one. Okay, so I actually set it up here. So you will see this is the engage tab. Publish is where I can go ahead and create multiple posts, and by calendar I can schedule it to be published immediately or on a later schedule. Okay, engage is where I can create multiple tabs, and I can say, okay, this is the different channels I want to listen to. For instance, this is my Twitter account, this is my YouTube account, and then I have another one here that I actually created for our Bhubaneswar group as such. And what I've said is look for the keyword SFDUG BBSR, right? So right now it actually shows me live. It will actually show me who are the people who have been posting with that particular keyword. So it actually shows all these things and as you guys are actually posting in Twitter, I can see that over here, right? And then for my YouTube channel, if people are responding, I can actually see that, and I can respond back. Here also I can actually go, I can do a like if I want. Okay, I can respond, I can directly message, etc. So from within one single dashboard, you can have users or agents actually work and interact with your various social channels using Social Studio. So it's very, very powerful. Okay. Okay, so that is on the marketing channels that I wanted to talk. Like I said, there are others also, but because of time limitation, these are the four key ones that I thought I'll walk you guys through. Looking at some of the builders, so the first one I wanted to talk to you quickly was Content Builder. Okay, so you probably saw a little bit of content already, in the email example and the web page example that I saw. So whatever you saw, that is actually using Content Builder in the background. Okay, and there is actually separately in Content Builder also. And it primarily it is where you can actually go and create content so that you can share it across different channels or across different groups or business units that you have in your organization. Okay, so in many organizations, sometimes the people who actually do the end marketing or strategy and sending out the emails may not be the people who are creating the content. Okay, content creators might be different. Okay, so they have a different role, they have a different skill set because they should be good in HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and all that stuff, right? So they might be looking at creating the content. So for those folks, they will have they will have access to Content Builder. They will go create folders, assets, everything, and then keep it all organized, right? And then they will probably lock templates so that you cannot go and customize it. If you are somebody who's an email marketer, you can just use the template, and then you can add in your content, like the email, whatever you want to add. They will give you blocks where you can go and add stuff, right? But the certain contents, like the header, the footer of the company, the branding, and all that will be actually done by the content team. Okay, so they will actually do all this in content builder and then say, okay guys, this is the set of assets that you can reuse. You can use it in your web page, you can use it in your email, you can use it in your SMS, etc. Okay, so let me show you content builder as well. So this is how that you will see content builder. It's very similar to that email that you saw earlier, right? But then here I'm in edit mode, so you can see, like, just like how I showed you in the web page, you can actually see, like, there are different blocks that I can just drag and drop here. And what content team does is they will actually create different content blocks. So here you will see, like, there are different content blocks here that they have created, right? So if I want to, like, use a particular content block, all I need to do is just drag and drop it here. So automatically it'll come up there. So if I wanted that particular image, I can just bring that in, right? So if I want to bring an intro text in, like, it'll already come in just like that. Okay, so it is already predefined and you can actually pull that in as long as you know. So this is already defined by the content team. Okay, and then if you want to, like, customize it further by adding HTML blocks or, like, image, dynamic content, all these things are, like, provided. Like, you can just bring that in. And like we said earlier, once you're ready to, like, test it out, you can preview and test it using the data extension records. And then if you want to, like, get it approved, you can get it approved. There is a workflow approval as well. And then finally, like, if you're ready to send it out, you can send it out. Okay. Okay, moving to contact builder. So like I said earlier, everything revolves around your contact in Marketing Cloud, right? So you will be able to, like, see the list of all the opted in contacts by various channels. You can see their attributes. You can delete contacts if you don't need them anymore. You can create and manage your data extensions. You can link them. So like I said, like, RDBMS, right? So SQL, Oracle, they're all relational. So you need to be able to relate data. Now, one of the things I probably forgot to mention earlier is, uh, um, when you compare with Salesforce, right, CRM and all that, ideally Marketing Cloud is not supposed to be some place where you are going to store lots of data. You should not be. Okay, so do not think as Marketing Cloud where, okay, I have so much information and I just simply want to bring it and then I can keep using it. So ideally do not use it as a warehousing tool. Bring in only relevant data about your customer that you are going to use for marketing in the near future. Okay, immediately or in the near future. And once you don't need it, take it out, like archive it or move it out elsewhere, whatever you need to do, right? So if you have any other extra information that you need, like, you can always bring it in real time, or, like, when you need it, use it and then get rid of it, right? And some, like I said, it's not just customer information. You might also have, like, related information. Like I said earlier, there is order data, there is product data, etc., right? Now, how do I link all this? So this is done in Contact Builder. Okay, so in Contact Builder there is something called attribute groups. Inside that, I can go and link data extensions and say, this particular customer data that I have in this table is actually linked to order history information that I brought in. Okay, order history is related to order details, okay, which is now related to product catalog. So I have to link it, manually here and say this is how they are related. Okay, this one is related on customer ID, and what it says is, like, every customer can have one or more orders that was placed using this order ID and, a particular order date. Okay, and then what each order history record shows is, like, each order history can have one or more order details because it can have more than one product on that particular order. Okay, and then the product ID might have a one-on-one relationship saying, like, okay, this product ID refers to this particular product with the name, brand, price, etc. Now, why this is important is, let's say I want to, like, find out who were the customers who bought a particular product from us in the last 30 days, because I want to send them a specific discount voucher, or maybe something I want to send out a marketing email, right? So how do I do that? Just by storing the customer information, I cannot do that, right? I need all the four of these because the product will be available in this one, and then I will be able to, like, figure out, okay, when they place that order, like, using the order date, and then I will get the customer information. So using that linked information, I will be able to, like, get that specific customers that I want to market to and then send it out. Okay. Okay, so that is on Contact Builder. And then the next two tools that you see here, Automation and Journey Builder, that very, very important ones from a marketing automation standpoint. Okay, so Automation Studio, it's frequently used along with Journey Builder as well if you want to automate certain tasks within Marketing Cloud. And then, there are specific activities that you can do, like, there's sometimes, like, and like if it's a file related workflow, let's say you have external files that you want to, like, bring in, import data into marketing on a schedule basis. Okay, or whenever the file is actually dropped in your FTP, you want to bring in that data and put it into your data extension, and then you want automatically a workflow to be kicked off by processing that. So let's say you have a commerce system that is external. Okay, and then you are every week you are expecting new customers data to be fed into marketing, because you want to send them certain marketing emails every week, after 1 week after they are getting registered, right? So you can actually have an FTP feed, from that system, feeding in that customer data into your marketing cloud FTP. You can set up okay, read that data, then import that into a data extension. You can segment that data, saying okay, find out which are the male customers residing in this particular region, we want to send this marketing email. If there is female customers working in located in this particular region, we want to send them this type of marketing email, etc. So you can do all that using your automation studio as well. Okay, so let me show you automation here. So if you go into marketing automation, in automation studio, you will see there are different types of activities like send email, import file, file transfer, data extract, queries, filter, script, and all that. Okay, so these are the different types of automations that you can small for blocks that you can have, then you can use within your automation workflow. So if you see here, this is what a workflow looks like. So if I say go create a workflow, I will see all those activities that I showed you earlier, plus some additional activities, and then I can pull them into this workflow here. For instance, what this particular workflow does is I am saying on a schedule, do a file transfer, okay, then do an import file, and then send out an email. So what it does is this one is actually going and finding if there is a products file that has been kept on FTP on a regular basis. It will decrypt that file, unzip it, and then it will move it and then say, okay, now import the data in that particular file into my data extension, to my products data extension, and then it will say send out that email. Now, like I said earlier, if I wanted to do some segmentation, so for instance, like say I want to run a query on it saying okay, I don't want to send data to every person based on the products that are being imported. I wanted to send only for certain customers and products. So I can include a particular SQL query in between, right? Or if I wanted to do a filter, I can actually do a filter as well. So there are different types of segmentation that you can drag and drop, and then you can actually go and configure that in here in Automation Studio. The main thing about Automation Studio is it works behind the scenes, you can schedule it, or you can do a file drop. So these are the two ways you can do it. File drop is is primarily for file based automations, where there is an FTP location for Marketing Cloud. When a file is dropped in a particular folder that you say or configure, automatically it says kick off this workflow. Okay, so sometimes you don't know when the file will actually get dropped into FTP, right? So sometimes you will the team is telling you, okay, every day at this time we will send it to you. You can kick it off your workflow after 1 hour from that time, right? But sometimes they say, okay, we are not sure when it will be, it can be maybe you're doing it 3 or 4 times a day, or maybe 2 times a day, etc. So whenever it comes, you are supposed to process it. So you can actually do it based on file drop as well. Okay, so if the file is very large in size, try not to use file drop, because by the time that kicks off, the file not be ready for reading it. So sometimes in that particular case, you might actually go for schedule as well. Okay, so there are a lot of best practices and do's and don'ts that you need to know for automation. Like I said, there are videos and tutorials available that you can go through as well for automation. Okay. The last one here, journey builder, one of the most important ones, that you will see more than automation. So this is for a one-to-one customer engagement. Okay, so primarily, if you have, like I said, if you want to send out email communication to in bulk, you can do it through automation, or if you want to send it through Email Studio, you can send it that way. But let's say if you want to automatically find out, okay, there are certain customers that you want to engage with one to one and see how they actually engage with you, right? So let's say I have a 100 customers that registered with our bank this week. Okay, and I want to put them into a welcome journey. What it means is because there are multiple steps that I want to take them through. First one would be I might want to send them a welcome email. Okay, after that, maybe 3 days after that, I want to see if they read the email. If they did not open the email or click on that particular email, then I want to send them a reminder email. Okay, but what if they open the email? If they open the email and they clicked on the link, then I want to send them a next voucher, or some instructions, etc. Okay, if the reminder email, if it is not, see, again I will check, was it opened again or not. If it's still not opened, maybe I might create a task for an agent to call up the and remind the customer, to actually open the email and review some information. So there are different ways that you can actually take a particular customer through a journey. Okay, and then based on how that person behaves, with your marketing activities, you can take them through different path. Okay, so that is why journeys are very, very powerful. Okay, and there is something, one of the use cases that you will also see is something called abandoned cart. Okay, some of you may have seen this, but if you have not, then this is something you can try out as well. If you're familiar with Flipkart or Amazon, right? If you go online, you have seen the shopping cart, right? So let's say you actually went, you found a good nice product that you wanted to buy, and then you added that to the cart. But then due to some reason, you were saying, oh wait, I'm not sure yet, let me do little more research. Maybe it was a iPhone, or maybe a phone, or laptop, something that's slightly more pricier, right? So you might want to, you added it, but you don't want to buy it right now, you might want to think about it a little bit. So then you will just close and go. Now what happens is, most e-commerce people, engines actually track this information. Okay, and then they will actually look at that and say, okay, who actually abandoned their cart midway and they did not make a purchase, and what was the price for that, the amount that they were looking to buy. Then what they will do is, they will actually create a journey to reach out to those specific customers and try to entice them to complete that transaction, right? Because it will still be in your cart. So they will say, okay sir, do you wish to buy that? They will look at, are you a loyal customer, have you bought from us in the past? Okay, and then they will say, this person definitely has buying power, he's trying to make up his mind, let's give him maybe a 10% or 20% voucher, so he will definitely buy from us and close the transaction. So this they will usually try to send that out. So this is called abandoned cart journey and abandoned cart scenario. Okay, in case if you are not familiar with that. So let me show you an example. So this is how the journey will look like. So you can have different types of entry sources, you can have contacts that are in your data extension, you can have it coming through an API, you can even come in, have it come from Salesforce. Like if you have a connection to Salesforce, which I'll show you in the next slide, CRM data, like if you have contacts or leads who are getting added there, automatically if you want them to be sent into a journey, you can actually do that. So every customer who's getting added over here, they will now flow through this automatically. The first let's say if I added 500 people here, each 500 of those people, they will get this email. Okay, they will get that first email, then they will be put into a wait state. Then we will check after 3 days, we will check, did they click that particular email, did they open and they particular clicked on particular link in that. If they clicked it, yes, then we will check, did they make a purchase by looking at a field in our data extension. We will check if that field was updated or not, right? If it is, then we will say, okay, update the loyalty, and then after that they will exit. If they have not, then we will say, hey, we noticed that you actually opened the email, but then you did not do the purchase. We want to send you a discount voucher, can you please complete it, right? And if they did not even open it, or click that link, we will say, okay guys, please, there is a, here's a reminder email, things like that. And it can go on, it doesn't end here. This is just a scenario that I just showed. Many journeys will be even much longer or more complex than this. Okay, but this is just to give you an idea of how you can drag and drop and create a journey interface. Okay. Okay, I know that was pretty long. Okay, so now we will, like I mentioned earlier, there is, we will talk a little bit about the cross cloud integration as well. Okay, Marketing Cloud, like I said, is not Salesforce platform. It's Exact Target. It's a totally different UI, like how you have seen. But it does connect to Sales, Service, and Community Cloud as well, right? Community definitely, which is on Sales or Service. So it does connect to the CRM side of it, using a package called Marketing Cloud Connect. Now, this you can actually install on your Sales or Service Cloud instance, and you can configure it with certain permission sets and all that. And then within the users on both sides, you can from marketing side, you can do a connect automatically. It will connect to both sides, verify. Once it is set up, then it's very easy. You can actually bring in data from Sales or Service into Marketing Cloud. You can say which objects you want to sync, any filter criteria that you want to set, how often you want to bring the data, all those things you can actually mention. And then you can use that data for further segmenting and then putting it into an automation, sending a direct email, putting them into a journey, etc. Directly from Sales or Service Cloud, if you want to push them into a journey, that is also possible, right? On the other hand, people who are in CRM, like let's say you have sales users who want to send out an email, right? That is also possible. There is now, when you install this managed package, there is a Visualforce page that they will get, where they can actually see the different emails that you can that you have configured and you have given them access in Marketing Cloud. They can see it in that Visualforce page, and then they can send that email automatically to a report or a campaign. Okay, so let's say they have created a report of all the leads that they have actually generated. Okay, and then they'll say, I want to send a welcome email to, or maybe a sales campaign email or something like that to a particular set of leads that I have in my report. They can do that. Okay, so the good thing about that is because let's say some organizations, the email branding, everything is done by marketing team, not by sales team or somebody on their side, right? So you want the branding to be consistent across all the emails that are even being sent from Salesforce. If you wanted to go through marketing, then this is one way to do it. Like you can have your marketing team actually set up the emails in Content Builder and all that, and then you can have the sales side team actually use those emails to send it as part of their sales process. Okay, so that is also possible using Marketing Cloud Connect. There are more scenarios available, as part of Marketing Cloud Connect, but like I said, because of time, I cannot go through all of that. But this is just a high level of what you can how you can connect the two, and you can definitely use it for multiple use cases where it is across both the clouds. Okay. Okay, moving to the different career roles, like I mentioned, there is different options that you can opt for. On the Apex side of things, I've seen mostly folks actually working in the developer side of things, where folks will be involved in content creation, data analytics, like segmentation using SQL, marketing automation, where you should be proficient in how to know how to create journeys, automations, and primarily programming. Quite a few of the folks that I've talked to, are very well versed in AmScript. SSJS, not many people have knowledge about it. Some do. Some are slowly learning. So that is also there. Is called server-side JavaScript. So these are like proprietary to Marketing Cloud. So you need to know how to use and program that. There is syntax, documentation, everything given on the Marketing Cloud. Where the help documentation, and of course there are tutorial videos and sites where you can learn these as well. Like with Salesforce, you also have APIs for Marketing Cloud. So anything that you want to do programmatically, from external, they have exposed APIs where you can actually interface with the application. So there is both REST and SOAP. SOAP is the older one, where it is mostly dealing with emails and some of the older transaction based objects and all that. But then the more newer one that you can see is interfacing with journeys, automations and all that. You can see a lot of that coming with the REST API. Okay, so the developers definitely as you pick, if you're planning to pursue a career in being a Marketing Cloud developer, then you will need to know some of these areas pretty well. How to create journeys, automations, and how to customize them and personalize them, create complex use cases using some of these programming languages. Okay, then you can grow into the next level of being a consultant or an architect, where you probably have done a few large scale implementations, and then you're able to work with customers on who are on their path to using Marketing Cloud. Try do a journey mapping and seeing, okay, how can we do a journey for your particular customers. Different types of journeys possible, right? So you can map that out. So you will need to have some level of experience before you can even start that, to see, okay, what are the best practices. If a new customer is coming in, how do we start them off on an email campaign? There's something called IP warming, setting up center authentication package. A lot of things are there, so you need to know all that before you get into into a consultant architect level role. Admins are primarily looking at just like how you have Salesforce admins. These are all very powerful folks who have the overall org maintenance. They look at all the user roles, BUs, platform configuration. Sometimes they combine the roles. So sometimes depends on the how big the team is, how small the team is. Few roles may be combined, but if it's a larger teams, then you might have specific admins, dedicated admins for the Marketing Cloud, especially if you have multiple BUs and multiple orgs that you need to maintain and all that. Okay. Certification wise, there are 4 certifications for Marketing Cloud. Email specialist and admin are the base level ones. Email specialist is the prerequisite for Marketing Cloud developer, and Marketing Cloud admin is the prerequisite for Marketing Cloud consultant. Okay, so unless you have each of these, you cannot take the next level. So email and admin, you can definitely go ahead and take straightforward. There is no prerequisite for both of those. I would always recommend people who are like looking at like learning or getting into marketing cloud to first take email specialist, because it is slightly more easier. You will focus more on email studio, the data model primarily to look at like what is contact subscriber, okay, and then learn a little bit about journeys and automations, contact builder and all that, right? It doesn't go too much deep into the platform like in other areas. So at least you will get a good idea of like how to start off at least with the email marketing and some level of automation in marketing cloud. Then you can expand into marketing cloud admin, where it goes further, like it goes to the other channels. What are the different packages that you can work with? What are the other features that as an admin that you should know? What is the issues that you might come across? Where do I configure things, install packages, etc.? All those things you can actually figure out in marketing cloud admin. Then depending upon like which is your career path, if you want to move into a developer path, you can take the developer one, or you can move to the consultant architect level as well. Okay. For learning, definitely, like there is the YouTube channel that I've actually published. There are other ones as well. A lot of other folks like from our community, especially all the marketing champions, have been contributing quite a lot. So you can definitely reach out. You can check. There is one called sfmccurated.com. They have they automatically it goes and actually does a search engine. It finds out, okay, what are the latest posts, and it actually comes out. Howtosfmc.com is one of the communities that we have actually, like multiple folks from our SFMC community, like some of the leaders and MVPs, we have all been part of that. And there is a Slack channel also, membership also available, where you can come in, you can ask questions, you can listen to like some of the things that people have been posting, new events that they come out with. And they are the people in this group are the ones who are actually like helping Salesforce conduct some of these monthly meetups and SFMC lookups and all that. So a good group to actually join. They have if you go to that site, you will see the Slack channel membership. You can join that. But when you join, please, if you're joining, please make sure you provide your LinkedIn information and description. Otherwise, they will not add you in, because they will not simply add anybody into their Slack. They want to know who you are and why you're coming in. Okay. Tidbits for You is like my blog site. So let me show you the video link that I was mentioning earlier. So I've written a blog on Salesforce Marketing Cloud video resources. I'll post this on the chat window for you guys. So for you guys to copy and bookmark. So remember I was saying like there's different videos that that you can actually use for learning, right? So I've categorized them like a little bit about overview, email studio, if you want to learn about contact builder, journey builder. So each area that you want to learn, there are certain videos that I've collected like from various sources. So you can go and refer to some of these if you want to like learn more about it, right? So for instance, if you want to learn AMP script, okay, so what are some of the great AMP script videos that are available online in YouTube, or like maybe Salesforce videos or channels that are available? You can check that. SSJS, APIs, community series, then some of the like old lookups meetings and technical meetings that we had. So we have listed all that. Then there is boot camps that we have done. So email specialist, the admin consultant, the developer one actually is actually going on. Like so I need to update the consultant and the developer YouTube channel. So it's in the same channel as the admin one. There is a YouTube channel, Trailblazing Together. So there, if you go, you will be able to see the consultant and the developer one as well. Okay. But then there are a few YouTube channels that you should follow, that you can go with, and you can find some great videos on Marketing Cloud as well. But this should at least get you like started on like some of the areas that you want to like look at like the overview part, little bit of email studio. Check out the bootcamp videos if you want to start off with email and the admin part, and then move on to the developer and the consultant one after that. Okay. Yeah, that's all I had from my side. So I'll open it up for Q&A.
So, Sibu, one question from my side. So, those video resources that you showed, those are free, right?
Yes,
Anyone can
yes.
go and access
Yes,
that.
everything that I've actually shown over here is actually free.
Yeah.
Few wherever I've shown it as partner program, this was
Okay.
actually published by the partner team for partners. But I don't think like there is any. I didn't see for these specific ones. I checked with Vlad. I didn't see any issue for these ones. Sometimes they might ask you to like provide your email ID and your name. So just provide that and go ahead. And I haven't checked some of these links in a long time. So please do excuse me like if some of these have been taken out, because sometimes people keep updating their links. So if it is broken, please do let me know. I will go ahead and fix that and then try to find some new links as well.
Sure, Sibu.
Okay.
So we'll go to the questions. So we have one question like, Ashish is asking, I have one query on Marketing Cloud runs like Sales Cloud and Service Cloud on native Salesforce platform, or they are having different platform. I
Yeah,
want to know how internally it works.
it's a different platform. So I don't know in what platform it was built in, but it's totally different. Like so Salesforce, like this, CRM, it is very different from how the backend actually works. Um, both are cloud based, but that doesn't mean like Exact Target was actually built in a different way. And it was initially started with email. Okay, then they expanded it out to the other channels. That's why you will see the different data structures. It started with list, and then became into a little bit of the the journeys on the other areas, mobile and all that, right? So that's why you will see data extensions are now being used across all the other channels, but list is only for the email part of it. But to answer your question, two different platforms, but they can be integrated through that Marketing Cloud Connect. That's all.
Okay, so the next question was what is list? So that is answered as well.
Yeah.
So what is the need or
Rahul, just to add just to add to Sibu, like even the URL as well as the interface is also different than Salesforce. If you will notice,
Yeah.
uh,
So if you go into marketing, you will see this is exacttarget.com. Okay. So the other
yeah.
one is login.salesforce.com. So this is always going to be exact target based on your stack that they give you. So it'll be different. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So what is the need slash use case for data extension?
Primarily to store data. So if you want to bring in like how you use objects in Salesforce,
Okay.
if you want to bring in any data, you need to store it, right? So list, like I said, it's not very flexible. You can only store subscriber information about a customer in list. Okay. So and you have to say, okay, like first name, last name, or whatever that is in a list, and then every list that you create will have the same set of fields. You cannot say one list should be customer, another list should be about order. Like that, it cannot happen. Whereas data extension is very dynamic. You can create one data extension only for customer, another data extension for order. You saw earlier when I showed you the linking image, right? So
Yeah.
in that particular screen, you saw each data extension has different fields. So data extension is more like your SQL table and is very powerful to store different types of data in Marketing Cloud. And then using that data, you can do multiple things. Like you can segment it. You can use that to feed into automations like journeys. You can use that to send out marketing communications, etc.
Okay. Okay. So the popular question that we got is there any dev org we can
Yeah.
run up or a playground kind of thing so
Yeah.
we can spin up?
Yeah, everybody asks me this question all the time. So unfortunately, no. The reason I think is because like I said, sending out marketing communications is actually a very
Okay.
legal. There's legal implications to it, right?
Correct.
So in our Salesforce org, there's not much issue on that perspective. So in this one, we have to be very careful. It's because it's a marketing tool. So I guess right now it's opened only for customers who have bought the tool or partners who have certain eligibility to in terms of having Marketing Cloud people in their team, right? So only they have access to it. So if you are part of a partner org, you can request your team to see either if they don't have, they can actually go apply for a free org, or if they already have, ask them if they can add you to for you to learn it. Again, there's limited licenses for partners also. So if they already have a large team who's doing marketing and you are not part of that team, very rare chances of you being able to get an for you to play around with it.
Okay. Got it. So the next question we have, all subscriber list has incremental data in nature.
Yes. So every time you send data email to a subscriber or people, they will get added. Okay. So once they're added, then the next time you send it out, it will only get updated. Like let's say you first time it you send out an email to to Rahul. Okay. So next time when I'm sending, it will actually go check with the same subscriber key or the email ID. Did I send an email? Is this person already in subscriber list? If so, is his status active? Let's say after I send you the email, you did not like my email, you unsubscribed, saying I don't want to receive Shibu's email anymore. Okay. In that case, what will happen is automatically my Marketing Cloud, that my subscriber list will say you have unsubscribed. So in future, whenever I try to send out the email, it will go check there and say, did Rahul unsubscribe? If he's unsubscribed, it will not send out the email. If he's active, it will send out the email. So that is the good thing about this whole unsubscription management behind the scenes. It will happen.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we have one more question. Can MC be used for the mass email communication apart from marketing?
I didn't understand. So can MC means Marketing Cloud?
Cloud, yeah. Can
Yeah, I
we-
mean, it is primarily for mass email. Like, you know, the amount of emails that you can send can range up into millions actually. So I know a lot of customers who actually range from like, you know, 100,000 all the way to like, you know, more than 1 million, 2 million and all that. And they kind of try sometimes do it in batches, so it takes time. So you can definitely do that.
So do we have any license limitation in Marketing Cloud again?
It is
that
it is
depends.
not it is not like that. It is actually
Yeah.
you have to purchase the number of emails that you can send. So you have to purchase by the batches. So if you and you would know that, like, you know, so say right now you have that many contacts, you know, you have X number of data, you can buy it in that terms, and then later if you see it ramping up, you can always go back to Salesforce and, you know, purchase additional limits.
Okay. So I'll take last two questions and then we'll move on to quiz. For other questions, please reach out to Sibu directly or to us. We can route those questions to Sibu. Okay. So we have among last two questions, how many ways we can create data extension?
There are multiple ways that you can actually create. So I think it is there in one of my videos as well. So there is standard, there is filtered, there is random. Then there is like based on template. So there are different ways that you can actually create. Okay, so it is not a straightforward like, you know, that I can answer in 1 minute and then you will easily understand. You will have to see the different use cases based on the documentation, and then you will be able to see that. Okay.
So the last question we have, are we doing any type of integration to connect with email or Android platforms?
Other email platforms, I'm not sure. Like if you're talking about HubSpot and all that, I'm not sure. Directly, like unless there is an API level integration you can do. But then what was the second one you were asking in that?
So email/Android platforms.
Yeah, so Android and iOS, like I said, for mobile, you have SDK. Salesforce Marketing Cloud has given the SDKs where you can actually go and, you know, you can use that to work with Android and iOS developers to, you know, customize applications and then use that. You know, if you want to use that with the mobile push features, you can use that. So they have given some documentation. It is not that I don't know how often they maintain it. It's been a little while since they have used it, and I've not seen a lot of customers using it. Like, you know, there are definitely customers who use it, but I believe, like, you know, in future they will probably be updating it with newer you know, versions of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So before I finish off, like, you know, there is actually one event that we are starting off next month, for people who are interested. Like, you know, you guys as well, like, you know, if you want to ask additional questions on Pardot and Marketing Cloud, we are going to do this as a monthly thing, with, like, you know, multiple speakers and marketing champions will keep coming in. So we feel that because I get a lot of questions from people in social media and in sessions like these, sometimes we are not able to like answer. If you are already working in marketing, or if you are a newbie to marketing, and if you come across any issues that you need help with mentoring, guidance and all that, you can join these sessions. Okay, and bring up your questions up front, like, you know, and then we can help you answer. We will also try to, like, you know, walk through some new features that are released so you can get some learning out of it as well. Okay, so do look out, like, you know, for, like, you know, at least for the August edition, it's on August 7th. But then every month we plan to, like, kind of come out with something like this for, you know, if you guys are interested in learning more about marketing, not just Marketing Cloud, but Pardot as well.
Thank you, Sibu. Sibu, can you just post this link in the chat window for people
Sure.
so that they can register? Okay.
Okay, I put that.
Yeah, thank you. So we will start with the game now, and I'll share my screen.
Do you want me to stop recording?
Yeah, we can stop recording now.
Okay.